Wouldn't it be amazing if there was like a summer camp except for adults?
How whimsical are we talking?
Oh, all of the whimsy.
You're looking for Hot Alien Summer Camp 2024. It's their third annual event at Starstruck Farms in Lebanon, Tennessee. You just come with an open heart to embrace a magical weekend. There's live entertainment, energy healing, art, and all kinds of workshops.
And I heard Karen Rontowski and Ryan Singer are returning once again to grace the stage with some cosmic comedy. Also, look forward to live music and the Makers Market, where you'll find handmade, consciously created art to pique all of your whimsical curiosities.
Visit the website at hotaliensummercamp.com, where pre-sale tickets are live now. There's lots to discover on the website, including past events, an email newsletter, and a lively Discord community.
And don't forget to check out the Alien Auction, where goodies and readings will be up for bidding. The auction starts March 24th and culminates with an all-day live stream event on March 31st. So I'll be seeing you August 8th through 11th at Hot Alien Summer Camp. Namaste!
Stay tuned after the episode for more information. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Interviewing Aliens. I am your solo host today, Jeff, and I am joined with a returning guest, Bianca Roland. Bianca, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing so good. It's a beautiful Sunday morning, and we're going to be talking about all kinds of exciting stuff you've been up to. So,
yeah.
Where would you like to start? I know you've got a couple of different stories you wanna tell.
Well, I just recently ended my annual media fast. That's a fairly large conversation, but if you want to start there, we can. You also said you wanted to talk about my UFO experience. So if you don't have a preference, I guess I can start with the media fast.
Yeah, let's go for it. Let's hear. Why don't you start out by just telling us, what your definition of a media fast is, and we'll go from there.
Okay, so I'll give you a little bit of context. So this was my 4th year doing it, and I was trying to think the other day what it was that even caused me to do it the first year. I'm always seeking opportunities to further my spiritual growth, my mental healing, my physical healing, but I can't remember 4 years ago what exactly it was that catalyzed the first time that I did it. Partly, I was also wanting to do a dopamine detox. So when I say media fast, and it has changed every year that I've done it, it's been a little bit different, but there are some core components. I don't watch TV. I don't use the internet except for like what I have to use for my job or for my art business, or, if I need to look up directions for something, but no social media except for, I post on Instagram because that's part of my art business, but I don't scroll it. I don't use TikTok. And definitely no news intake at all whatsoever. And in fact, I tell the people in my life that I communicate with on a daily basis, please don't send me things during this month. Just let me be as in the void as I can possibly be. No music with lyrics. In the past, I have limited myself to, if I'm going to read books, it will be kind of spiritual topics. I changed that up a little bit this year. And then at various years, I've done different things, different kinds of spiritual disciplines. Like one year I was vegan for the entire month. I wanted to try that on. This year I eliminated caffeine and alcohol. Last year I started a daily yoga practice, which I have maintained up until this year. I continue to do that daily. And so the goal is multifaceted. This fast starts right around Christmas. It has varied a little bit based on what was going on in my personal life. And then it ends on my birthday every year, which is January 24th. And I usually have some kind of ceremony coming back into the world on the ending of the media fast. And what I have found is every year, I have ADHD and I'm on the spectrum. And because I am a lover of knowledge and a seeker of information, when I get to the point of my media fast each year, like before I do it, my head is very busy, very buzzy. And going into the media fast, there's usually 2 or 3 days when it's painful. I have never done, heroin or anything like that, and I can't imagine what detoxing off of those things are like. So what I experience in coming off of the dopamine and the cortisol, I'm sure is only a fraction of those experiences. But I think there is a sort of a parallel experience to that, where your body is so used to the easy dopamine and the cortisol that's produced by doom scrolling that for the first few days of that fast, I feel restless and not physically itchy, but mentally itchy. And it is painful. But then by the time I get to the end, I just almost don't even want to come back into the real world. I always feel so much better. And in fact, this year I have decided that on a quarterly basis, I am going to take a long weekend. And so I started my fast this year. I booked an Airbnb at a little one-room cabin way out in rural Oklahoma by myself. It had a hot tub. It was on 10 acres. It was completely off grid. I couldn't watch TV if I wanted to, but I didn't. But I didn't have cell phone signal or anything. And I just spent 3 days detoxing my dopamine, napping. And so what I have decided this year to keep that momentum up a little bit so I don't get to the end of the year feeling completely burned out is on a quarterly basis, I'm going to take a 3-day weekend and go back to that cabin and just kind of re-up that experience. So that's sort of the basics of my media fast.
Right on. That sounds in modern day pretty intensive.
It is pretty intensive.
Yeah, that's a lot of what takes up, I imagine, most people's time during a day, or at least their spare time. Yeah.
It definitely takes a lot of discipline, and there was a time in my life I could not have done it, and it's only because of this extreme desire that I have to heal and grow. And it's like I'm mature enough at this point, not only emotionally and mentally, but also just in terms of my age, that I can take on those kinds of disciplines. And now that I've done it for 4 years, I know how good it is. But the first year, it was tough.
Yeah, the only chemical I've ever really withdrawn from was Klonopin. And that was miserable. I can't imagine what it's like for, like you said, like a heroin addict or something like that. But the few times, well, let me say this: my cell phone right now, the top half of it no longer works. The touchscreen portion on the top half. So I can't look at the weather, or there's a lot of things I can't do with my phone right now, and it was so frustrating for the first few days. But as a result of it, I've just kind of been putting it down and not looking at it. And what a treat that is.
Oh, I know.
To not feel the obligation to this device. You know?
There was a day that I actually left my phone at home, not on purpose, on accident, when I went to work. And I'm like, there was, in the past, that would never have been possible because it was literally practically glued to my body. But the fact that I could just forget it one day means that something in my brain has definitely been healed.
Yeah. The other day, I walked out the door and was all the way to the elevator in my apartment building. And I was like, I don't have my cell phone on me. And so I turned around to get it, just in case I got a phone call or something. And I didn't. I kind of wish I would have just left it home. Could have gone grocery shopping in peace,
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you have a couple of goals when you do this, and you may have kind of hinted at them or mentioned them before, but could you be a little more explicit? What was in the first time that you did this, what was the end goal? What did you want to experience?
That was 4 years ago. And, at that point, I was still exploring a lot of Eastern religion. And I was wanting to have some space away from as much as possible, the world that I live in, I live in Oklahoma, and so my culture is very Western and Christian and all of these things. And I wanted to have a space away from the culture that I know to explore other cultures. So I spent time reading like the Gita and meditating every day. And it was for the first year, it was a exploration of knowledge. And also, I think on some level, I just wanted to see if I could do it.
Yeah.
And, I have envisioned at some point I'd like to go at some point on one of the Vipassana retreats when I have the time to do that. And so I was kind of thinking it's not exactly the same thing, but it does require a certain kind of mental discipline that I think a lot of people in our modern era don't have. And I just wanted to know if I could. And if I got to the end and completed it and was successful through the whole thing, what kind of impacts it would actually have. So the first year was mostly an experiment.
Sure.
But this year, I spent less time with like spiritual texts. And what my focus this year was trying to be in the moment more and more intentional with my attention. And so rather than, reading the Gita or anything like that, I went back to reading fiction because when I was a kid, I was an avid fiction reader. And then sometime in my early 30s, life just kind of got in the way. And then, as we all got addicted to our screens, my attention span just disappeared and I just couldn't do it. But it's something I have always missed. That is a part of young Bianca that was really, really, really important to me. And so this year I just decided to focus on the real world things that bring me joy. And so during my fast, I finished 12 books.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and it felt really good. And it's a discipline that I'm bringing back into my regular everyday life. I have committed to myself that I'm not going to watch TV after work. On the weekdays, I'm gonna read books, and there are various other disciplines that I'm rolling into my everyday life that came from that fast period.
That's great. Yeah, I know I've experienced the same thing with reading. I did quite a bit of it as a kid. And yeah, once I got a cell phone, and especially once I started working in IT, where all I did all day was looking at a screen and reading, I couldn't bring myself to sit down with a book. I miss that.
Yeah.
I really do.
It's been very worthwhile to get back into it, and I really missed it. And like I said, the media fast really helped with my attention span. I do find myself from time to time tempted to sit down. One of my really bad habits was on a weekday, if I was just really tired after coming home from work, I'd come home and I'd do my yoga, which is great to have that habit. But then I'd sit on the couch, and one of my favorite shows of all time is the show Community.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic.
It's one of my safe space shows. It's one of the ones that I turn on when I just want noise in the background. But I would basically dopamine binge. I'd put the show on the TV and I'd fool around on my phone with TikTok or playing games on my phone or whatever and just dissociate. And not that I think that that's a bad thing to do once in a while, but when you're doing it a lot and it completely kills your attention span, then I think it's probably time to look at your habits and figure out if there's not a way you can get your attention span back.
Yeah, no, that's really great. So let's see here. What are some other things that you experienced or did on your fast that you feel you simply would not have experienced had you not been fasting?
Well, so like I said, at the beginning of my fast, I went to this cabin in the middle of nowhere. And so I was there for 3 nights. I arrived on December 22nd, and then I was there all day the 23rd, all day the 24th, and I returned home on the 25th. And completely by myself. I did bring a little Bluetooth speaker so I could listen to just some instrumental music. But other than that, I didn't have any other human interaction. And so I spent a lot of time in the hot tub. Well, on the 23rd, I had the first of 2 kind of weird, somewhat creepy experiences. So This property is 10 acres, and also included on the land is a horse corral. So if somebody rents the Airbnb, because that's horse country out there, if they want to bring their horses and camp out there and go ride their horses around, they've got a place to put them. And then there's a road, and on the other side of the road, there's a stand of trees that has some lights shining on them. So I'm just hanging out in the hot tub. It's a beautiful night. It's the end of December. It's cold, but you're in the hot tub. It feels nice. And I'm looking out over the horse corral, and I see what looks kind of like a man leaning up against the horse corral with like one foot propped up on one of the bars. But it's got that stand of trees behind it with the lights. And I'm like, that's probably just pareidolia. And so I was a little bit creeped out about it, but I didn't think too much about it. So, I went in and I went to bed. Next night, I'm out in the hot tub again. And right off of the edge of the hot tub, off of the deck that the hot tub is built on, there's a porch swing, but it's not attached to the porch. It's got like its own frame. And at each end of the porch, there are motion detector lights. And there's a little bit of a storm coming up. It never materialized into rain, but it was a lot of wind. And the motion detector lights kept going off. And I thought, oh, that's just the wind. And then the porch swing started to swing. And I'm like, oh, that's just the wind. And then at some point, on the far end of where the porch swing was hanging, a red light popped up. There was nothing there to cast a red light. I'm like a little pinprick of an LED red light, but there was nothing there. There was nothing electrical there. And I'm like, that's not just the wind. I don't know what that is. And so I'm starting to get freaked out again. And, I have spiritual practices, and I feel like I have been protected my entire life, and I have relationships with guides and things like that. And so I just kind of spoke it out into the air. I said, I may be crazy. This may be all in my head, but I'm protected. And if you're here to harm me, you just need to know that I'm safe, and I've got energies and entities looking after me. But I was feeling kind of creeped out. So I decided to go ahead and I was about to be ready to get out of the hot tub anyway. So I decided to go ahead and get out of the hot tub. And as I'm climbing out, my towel had fallen off of the rack where it was hanging. And I went to reach to grab it. And I'm standing up and I'm getting ready to go into the cabin. And from the far end of the deck, this shadow, it was oblong shaped, came rushing towards me and passed right through me. And I'm like, whoa, that was not the wind. It was an actual, it was fuzzy at the edges, but it was absolutely a shadow. So I hightailed it into the cabin, and I'm freaking out at this point. And so I saged to the cabin. I turned on some music that I felt like was the energy that I needed to have for that space. I burned some incense. And I start communicating with this, whatever it is, telepathically. It is trying to get me to look out the window. And I'm just like, no. At this point, I have figured out it's not actually trying to hurt me. It was a trickster of some kind. It is trying to get me to freak out. And it's intrigued because apparently I think it's something that it is from that property, that it was intrigued that I could see it, that I could perceive it. And so it was playing with that. And so I'm just like, okay, no, we're not going to do this. I'm safe. You're going to stay out there. I'm going to stay in here. And in the fridge, I've been playing, I know you and I are both kind of into Jacques Vallée and the whole Fae lore and all of that kind of thing. And so playing with the idea of leaving gifts. And I'm communicating with it in my mind. If you leave me alone, I will leave for you tomorrow some of the fruit that I have in the fridge. Well, it's still throwing this energy at me. So I get the fruit out of the fridge, I put it into a bowl, and I sit on the bed and I eat it all. And I'm like, I'm not playing with you. I'm totally serious. You're going to leave me alone. But I'm going to eat this fruit because you didn't leave me alone. Now, if you leave me alone, I will leave you some of the carrots that I have in the fridge. And finally, it left me alone, but it was an unreal experience.
Oh, Bianca, just out here bartering with interdimensional entities. That's
well,
wild.
I don't know what else you're supposed to do. I'm out there by myself as far as other people are concerned, and I can't call 911 or anything, so I'm going to have to figure it out on my own.
Yeah, it's actually really clever way of going about it. I mean, you figure out something that it wants or something that it needs, and figure out how to give it to it. That's really smart.
I suppose so. It seems to work.
Wow, that's crazy. I've been doing some entity work myself, like some entity altar work. And I've been leaving out little treats for whoever might come by.
Yeah. Have you noticed any kind of effect?
Yeah, the other night I was working with Amon, which is like a demon from the I can't think of the Book of Solomon. And like I was in a bit of a scrap with some friends, and I just wasn't sure how to get over my feelings and work towards like a sense of peace within the group. And so, I set up a little altar. I put out a card. I drew, a sigil and left out a little treat. And I said, Amen, if you're out there and you can come out and you can help with this, it'd be really great. And I couldn't sleep that night. I was up all night writing. I ended up writing a lot and sending out messages to people, and it was all really well received. And I personally think that was thanks to the help of Amen there. So
yeah, that sounds a lot like what happens when I get some muse activity from Alice. It's like all of a sudden the flow just comes. It's like, oh, this is what I need to do right now. Just a little bit of where you felt directionless before then, and all of a sudden it just flows. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really interesting though. But wow, the fuzzy energy that moves through you, that does sound awfully like similar to the like softer fuzzy, entities or UAPs that people are talking about seeing and experiencing as well.
Well, that was one of the things that I was kind of hoping when I went out there, because you and I have the that interest in common. Is like, I knew I was going to be out in the middle of nowhere. I was hoping to see more stars than I did, because there's not a whole lot of light pollution out there. Unfortunately, there was a lot of cloud cover, so I didn't get to see a whole lot of stars. But I thought, if there's any place that, short of like going to Mount Shasta or something, if there's any place that I'm likely in Oklahoma to see something like that, this is as good a time as any. So I was kind of hoping to have some kind of experience, and boy, I sure did. I sure did.
Yeah. Well, on that note, let me tell you about the experience I had down in Florida a couple weeks ago. Maybe we can take a little break from the fast and talk about the other entity encounter or UAP that you saw.
Yeah.
Because it really fits in with what you're saying. A group of us from the Hask server, the Hot Alien Summer Camp crew, we were down in Florida doing a planning retreat for a like commune / spiritual center that we want to start. So we were all just getting together to talk about that. And the last day was a Sunday, and we had driven down there. So I was driving a couple of people to the airport, and on the way to the airport, we were talking, and one of the guys said, it's really strange that we didn't see a UFO. Like, I feel like we have that energy, and that, all of us were constantly looking to the skies. We want to see it. It's something that we all, joke about, and some of us are very serious about. We know there's something out there, and seeing it.
Yeah.
That's just, that's so nice. Anyway, we were laughing about how we hadn't seen anything. I dropped them off at the airport, and I'm driving back. And about 15 minutes past the airport, I'm looking up in the sky, and there's just this really bright orange circle in the sky. And I'm like, well, that's weird. It's like middle of the day, fairly clear skies. Like, I am not far from an airport, so my first thought is, oh, it's probably just a jet or a plane or something with exhaust that I can see, flying away from me.
Yeah.
And as soon as I thought that, that small orange circle stretched out into a line of like 8 or 9 small circles, wiggled around like a snake, snapped back into one point of space, and then completely disappeared.
that is by definition a UFO. It's like,
yeah, I don't know what that is. Right. So, I think that I think I may have mentioned this in our last episode. The veil is thinning, my friend.
Yeah, it is.
You know, like people are starting to have more experiences, and they're starting to trust what they saw more. And in the spirit of that, why don't you tell us about what you saw? Was it September 16th?
Yeah, so this was also in the middle of the day, and my husband and I we live west of Oklahoma City, and we were traveling to downtown to go have a late lunch for his brother's birthday. So it was around 1:00, and my husband is driving, and I'm just looking out the passenger window. That day, the clouds were, I mean, they were works of art. They were huge and fluffy. And I was just looking out the window, enjoying the clouds and saying out loud, oh, look how amazing the clouds are. So we were right about, I was trying to remember exactly where it was at. It was right around either Meridian or Council Road. And I see come from, I'm terrible with distances, so I can't tell you exactly how far away it was, but it was above the cloud line. I see come from behind the clouds a silver sphere, and it traveled, from my perspective, about an inch, very, very fast, and then disappeared. And, you know, I have been flying my entire life. My parents both worked for the airlines when I was a kid. Things in the sky, if they are normal and mundane, I know what they are. And I know what I saw. It was a silver sphere, like a BB, and it just zoomed and then blinked out. But what to me was more interesting about what I saw was my reaction in the moment. I didn't say a word to my husband. I didn't say a word. I didn't freak out. It was just kind of like, there that is. And then it didn't mention it to my husband for like 4 days. And then when I finally said it out loud, I had about 45 minutes of real ontological shock. Like I had a little mini panic attack, but it took like 4 days for it to even register that, oh, I saw a thing. Because, you know, I've had various and sundry experiences throughout my life. Like I see shadow people from time to time, but those kinds of things, even with the entity at the cabin, it's almost like, was that real? Was that really, really real? Or was I, you know, this thing? No, I definitely saw it with my naked eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just as sure about mine as well. And I didn't wait 4 days, but when I got back to the house that we were at, I didn't tell anybody at first either. Like, and these are people that I know would believe me, you know? I'm not sure what it was. Like, I had to sit in it for a minute.
Yeah.
Very strange. Well, I'm going to keep looking to the skies because I want to see more.
Oh, yeah, me too. Totally. But one of the other things that seems to be happening, and I don't know if this is specifically because of like my own personal journey that I'm on, I noticed it keenly because of the media fast, but it may be part of a larger thing that's happening. And you'll have to tell me if this is true to your experience. Speaking about like the veil thinning, is that the synchronicities that I'm experiencing, they used to be really, really broad. Like I have some numbers that I really like a lot that seem to pop up over and over again. Or it might just be something like you dream about a celebrity one day, somebody that you literally never ever think of, and then the very next day you see something on the news about them, but it's not really related to anything in your own personal life. But it seems like lately my synchronicities are dialing themselves in and narrowing focus and pointing me very clearly in a direction rather than being more of a generalized field.
Interesting. Can you expand on that a bit?
Yeah. So as you know, and if anybody has listened to the previous episode that I was on, I'm an artist. And this year I have actually started to say out loud, I am a professional artist because I'm actually making money from it. It's not my day job yet, but I'm very, very serious about it. And so I have been fortunate this year to have been invited to collaborate with Factory Obscura. So Factory Obscura is a local Oklahoma City-based experiential art immersive installation. If your audience is familiar with Meow Wolf, it's like that. And I've done work for them before at a smaller scale. And this past December, actually, I performed at Factory Obscura. I was invited to do my art, just do my art on stage and on camera while a band was playing. And that was a really cool experience.
That's so cool.
But I was invited to participate, and I can't say a whole lot about it at this point. I've signed an NDA, but I can give you the loose picture of it. With a group of other artists to create a temporary installation that will be opened on May 30th and will last for the whole summer. And aside from the fact that it's just a really cool experience, there's a pretty decent financial incentive for me to do it, which, helps me get closer to my goal of becoming full-time with my art. And so what I noticed during my media fast, because I use a mood tracking app on my phone, it helps me to sort of figure out what the little different things that I'm doing every day, what kind of impact they have on my overall mood. But one of the things, it's almost like a, books that witches sometimes keep, where they track down their spells and things like that.
Like a grimoire.
Yeah, like a grimoire, kind of. It's like a digital grimoire in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So I track my synchronicities and things as well. And like if I have an entity experience, I'll mark that down. Or if I have significant dreams, I'll mark that down. And I noticed during my fast that my synchronicities just dropped way, way, way off. But there were a few places where they were very strong. And when I started going to these meetings for Factory Obscura, first of all, when they were talking about the mission behind why they wanted to do this particular installation at this particular time, it spoke straight to my soul, because it is exactly the kind of mission that I have for why I want to do my art. But then just little things would pop up during this like discovery process where we are all collaborating, we're talking about our ideas, presenting. It's so different from working in a corporate environment where people go in with facts and figures and things like that. As we're going into this planning phase, we're talking about feelings and inspiration and nature. And then when I'm spending time with specific friends or doing specific things that are soul-centered, that's when my synchronicities are happening. But if I'm sitting at work and I'm just, churning away on the computer doing something that pays the bills, but that I don't care about, synchronicities do not happen. So it's like the lens is focusing itself. Hey, you need to look over here. Not that I wasn't already, but you need to look over here because this is where you're going to go. And I don't know if that's a universal thing that's happening or if that was something that was mainly because of my fast and sort of dialing my energy in, but it's been interesting.
I would say that that's not just you. Again, at that trip that we all took together, and this is something we've been talking about since August, Tiffany and I and our little crew, we feel like we have developed a bit of an individual brain cell that we all share, that we like pass information along to. And it just becomes so much more clear and apparent when we're all physically together. And it's still great when we're all like on Discord and chatting together. Like it's still there. We still have that some kind of energetic connection to each other. But when we're all together, it's like finishing each other's sentences. There's just something there. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with human design at all.
I am. Yeah, I'm a generator.
Okay. Are you familiar with the idea of a rave within human design?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so the idea is that, sometime around 2027, there's going to be some kind of timeline shift in the universe that's going to basically usher in a new style of humanity, a new way of living and functioning within humanity. And a big part of that is this idea of raves. And raves are groups of like 5 to 6 people who just really jive well together. And it's supposed to be like your tribe, your group of people that you get shit done with. And I think, in my opinion, the way I feel is that that's what the kind of thing we're moving towards. Like we're finding these little pockets of people that we connect very strongly to on like an emotional, mental, everything level. And we're finding things that we're supposed to do with those people in our lives.
Yeah, I can see that. That definitely resonates with me for sure.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's fantastic. And congratulations again on this immersive experience. What's it called again?
Factory Obscura.
Factory Obscura. Just earlier this morning, I was looking up immersive experiences, trying to find one, local here in Birmingham.
Yeah.
And there's like a Van Gogh thing going on, and that's interesting. I'll probably try and get over to that. But
Yeah.
I did see Factory Obscura listed on a website as like one of the best in the nation.
Yeah, it is. It's really, really cool. And again, I can't say a whole lot more than what I've already said. But I visited Meow Wolf for the first time in 2018. And, that was still very much the beginning of my own art journey. And I didn't even know things like that existed. And when I went to Meow Wolf the first time, it blew my mind. And then I came back to Oklahoma City and found out that Factory Obscura was a thing. And I was like, okay, I need to figure out how to be involved in that. And at that point, I was not even really part of the local arts community. I am now, like in a big way. But I set my sights on that. I said, this is bucket list. And within 2 years, I had my first project with Factory Obscura. And ever since then, it's just been like laser focus. Aside from my own independent art projects, I really want to get involved in this kind of art. And boy, the universe, it's like when you put in the work and you put in the attention, it really delivers.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole thing with manifestation, right?
Yep.
You do have to put in the effort.
Yeah.
But if you do, you're going to see the rewards. That's so cool.
Absolutely.
Tiffany has been to Meow Wolf in both Denver and Las Vegas. I have yet to be to one. I can't wait to go see it. Yeah, she said when she went with another group of the Hot Alien Summer Camp crew back in December, I believe.
Okay.
And they were in a very specific room, and they all said they felt my presence in that room, so they named it the Jeff room.
Oh,
so I can't wait to get out there and see the Jeff room.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're looking for more of those to go and experience. So it sounds like we're going to be making a trip up to Oklahoma here in the summer. We got to see your exhibit for sure.
Yeah. So like I said, it opens May 30th. So if you can make your trip here a little bit after that, then yes, you'll be able to see my not mine. It's part of a, collective, our installation.
Right on. Maybe you could coordinate with them. We could get together and do a little recording session with the group and just talk about the project that you guys did.
Okay. Yeah. I would certainly be open to at least approaching them about that for sure.
Yeah, that'd be very cool. Very cool.
Yep.
Okay. Well, let's get back to the media fast stuff. Because you mentioned some lucid dreaming things. Oh, sorry. Do you have more to say?
Yeah, I do. So that was one of the interesting things. So I don't meditate every day. I'm so busy between my job and my art. I work 60 hours a week, and I can either choose to fit in yoga or meditation on a daily basis. And at this point, yoga is more important.
Well, yoga is, it's practice for meditation.
It is.
It's good to do.
But with the kind of monkey mind that I have, there is benefit to actually just like sitting meditation too.
Yeah.
That said, what I have been doing is on the weekends, I have been doing some of the gateway experiences, Robert Monroe, heavy sync meditations.
Yeah.
And when I started doing that, I have only, in that period of time, in that month and a half or so now, I had one lucid dream. And historically, unless I am trying to cultivate lucid dreams through some of the techniques, I will spontaneously have them about 3 or 4 times a year. And the lucid dream itself, it was interesting. It always is. But what has been more interesting to me is what seems to happen after I do the meditations, like the same night or the night after, is I'm having what I'm calling semi-lucid dreams. So they're a little bit different. It's not like I'm in the dream and I go, oh, I'm dreaming right now. And actually now, as I'm sitting here talking to you, I just realized I had a lucid dream last night and then forgot about it.
Oh.
That's how often these things are happening now that I just managed to forget about it. But the semi-lucid dreams. So one of the nights that I went to a Factory Obscura meeting, that night I dreamed about going to a Factory Obscura meeting. And as I'm leaving the meeting in my dream, I realized I can't find my car keys. Now, regular dream Bianca, that would create a whole story about trying to find my car keys, stress, anxiety. But there was a part of me that even though I didn't wake up and go, oh, I'm dreaming, was aware that I could somehow control the environment that I was in because it wasn't real. Because I said to myself in the dream, I can start this car without the keys. And I did. And it was just a little thing, but I've had several dreams like that, which I'm totally blanking on the details now, where I had this sudden realization in the dream that wasn't full lucidity, where I just was like, I can manipulate this environment in a way that does not conform with reality, which has been very interesting, because as I sort of explore my understanding of what reality actually is, just as always saying reality isn't real. In what places is the everyday expected stuff that I see, is that really what I'm seeing? Is there something more there, or, whatever? So the fact that my brain is doing this thing when I'm sleeping and I'm having these dreams where it's all of a sudden like, oh, I can manipulate this in a way that doesn't conform to reality it's an interesting thing that seems to be happening with my consciousness, specifically in relation to doing these meditations.
Very interesting. Yeah, I think that I mentioned this in a couple other episodes, but I think that reality, like what we're experiencing, is just like a graphical interface on top of something that we can't comprehend.
Yeah.
So I think that maybe your dreams are trying to train you for some real reality work here, because there are some things in this world that I look at and I go, that doesn't need to exist, or that could be different. And like, I don't know, maybe we are capable of making those changes, if nothing else within ourselves, like how we interact with those things.
It's like some of the physical health journeys that I've been on, because in the past I have experienced a couple of chronic illnesses, physical. I went through a phase where depression so bad, and then had a battle with interstitial cystitis, which is a disease of the bladder. And ultimately, the things that helped me in both of those cases were not Western medicine. They were not pharmaceuticals. They were not traditional psychiatry. And especially in particular with the bladder stuff, it was like a charcuterie board, if you will, of different things that I tried, different modalities. And it seems to me now, being on the other side of it, that it was less about what it was that I was actually doing and more about the energy that I was putting out towards doing it. So it's like, I don't want to be sick anymore. I have to accept that this is where I'm at right now, but I am going to throw everything and the kitchen sink at this because I am tired of being in pain. Yeah. And I am happy to report at this point in my life, I am pain-free in that regard. And take absolutely no pharmaceutical anything for that condition.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a similar experience with my mental health and depression, where just nothing I did, no amount of talking to a therapist, no amount of prescription medication could, get this to flip around. I found another modality, to change my brain, and I've been happy ever since. It's Western medicine, I think this is something that my partner Elliot has mentioned a lot. Western medicine is just there to treat symptoms. It's not there to actually fix people for the most part. It's there to keep them alive, but there's not a whole lot of, emphasis put on keeping those things from happening.
Yeah.
At least, with the average doctor, because doctors are so compartmentalized. They're so specialized that, we go to a doctor and expect them to tell us everything, I think that we are supposed to be relying on ourselves and, our ability to reason and come up, with the things our bodies need.
Yeah.
As opposed to, seeking out that outside influence, especially with modern pharmaceutical in particular. It's just, it's a trap. It's a trap.
Well, and I want to be careful about speaking against Western medicine, because there are still things that I take. I actually take a prescription sleep medication because I've struggled with insomnia my entire life. I take a medication that helps to control my blood sugar. And if somebody takes insulin, you're gonna take insulin.
Oh, sure.
And if I break my leg, I'm gonna go to a doctor if I break my leg. But that said, when I was really in the depths of hell with this bladder condition, I went and saw a urologist, and she had me on 3 or 4 pharmaceutical medications, and they were not doing anything for me. And so I picked up this book. I can't remember what it was called, but the woman in the book, she basically had the same condition. And she went on this journey where she tried, the typical Western stuff, but she also did acupuncture and all of these other things. So I pursued those things as well. And ultimately, whatever the combination was, it worked. So I did acupuncture. I did Reiki. I went and saw a naturopath. Ultimately, the naturopath was about 90% of what got me there. But then, the meditation and the yoga and pelvic floor therapy and all of these different things, instead of just going and having them throw pain medication on me, is what has gotten me to the point where I am in a persistent state of good health and free from pain. And, never would it discourage anybody from going to see a doctor if they need to see a doctor. What I would just say is, if your relationship with your doctor and your medication is not helping you, it's possible that there is something out there that is outside of the mainstream that can do what you need to be done.
Yeah, I would say also that if you're on like a for like mental health in particular, if you're on a antidepressant or a benzodiazepine for too long, like if it's not healing you, it's great that it's keeping you alive, but if you have the ability, if you have the energy and space, you really should be seeking like ways to actually improve your life as opposed to just sustaining the whatever that you're stuck in. And that's the big part. Like you made the decision that you weren't going to let this control your life anymore, and you figured out how to fix it. And I think that people just need to take that initiative more.
Well, and it doesn't happen overnight either. Sometimes you need those pharmaceutical things to help to stabilize you, because what you really need in order to get yourself healthy for the long term is you need to establish a foundation underneath you that allows you to maintain the health that is provided by the medication. So you have a soft place to land if you decide to go off of it. So I work out 7 days a week now. I've got my nutrition dialed in. I'm really protective of my energy and making sure that I go to bed on time and saying no when somebody invites me to something and I just know my energy isn't going to be up to it, so that I don't get myself burned out again. Rolling into my fast this year, I was in a burnout state. I was in an autistic burnout state. But I recognized it before it happened. I didn't catch it quite early enough, because if I caught it early, I would never have gotten there. But I caught it early enough that it didn't get too bad. And I was able to put protocols in place to help me to recover faster. And so, your psychiatric medication, they can be your bootstrap out of whatever the condition is that you're in. But then if you can build this foundation underneath of you to cushion you, if you ever do decide to go off those medications, it's going to make it much safer for you to actually make that decision.
Yeah, and I will say that definitely work with your doctors to go off your medications.
Oh, for sure.
You should not stop any medication cold.
Yeah, totally.
Right on. Wow. Well, I mean, this media fast sounded great. Like it
was.
I kind of want to go on one now. Unfortunately, I've got a lot of podcasts to record here soon, so I know that I can. But yeah.
Well, and I've had various people that I'm connected to express interest in doing something similar. And a month is ambitious. I think doing it at the end of the year like that, the holidays are over, people, social activity hasn't picked up yet because people are tired. It's really a perfect time for me to do it. But if you're interested in the idea of doing it and a month is too long, I would say a week. You really need to have more than just 2 or 3 days, because those first 2 or 3 days are just your body freaking out going, oh God, where's the easy dopamine? Oh God, where's the cortisol? Gimme, 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 gimme. If you can get past that phase and then have 3 or 4 days at the end where your brain just goes, oh, that's the sweet spot. And then you can figure out if it's something that you want to do for a longer period of time, but it is so worth it.
Right on. Yeah, I think at the very least I need to reevaluate how I use my media. You know? Boy, and I do want to start reading again. I'm going to start doing that. Thank you for the inspiration.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, Bianca, is there anything else that you want to tell us today?
I think we've covered all the high points. I guess I'll give myself a little of a shout out. If anybody wants to see my art, my website is biancaroland.com. That's BIANCAROLAND.com. It is updated intermittently. Most of my current stuff is on Instagram, and I'm over there as at Bianca Roland Art. I was posting regularly on TikTok up until my fast. I haven't decided if I'm going to go back there because I have found it to be an energetic drain, but I haven't decided not to either. But anyway, I've got at least 3 years worth of history over there, so you can still see all kinds of things. And I'm also at Bianca Roland Art over there. And then for anybody that uses Pinterest, you can see my art on Pinterest, but you can also see the kinds of things that I am inspired by. And so on Pinterest, I am also at Bianca Roland Art. And if you happen to be in the Oklahoma City area this summer and stop by Factory Obscura, you'll be able to see the installation that I helped create.
Right on. Bianca, thank you so much for taking the time to come and talk to us again. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you. And thank you for inviting me. This is always such fun.
Yeah. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next episode of Interviewing Aliens. Have a good one. Ever felt like you're wandering through a world that doesn't quite fit? Like you're a square peg being nudged into a round hole? Maybe you've caught yourself gazing up at the stars, pondering the mysteries that seem to slip through the fingers of conventional wisdom. Do esoteric beliefs resonate with you more than everyday chatter? Is there a voice inside you whispering that there's infinitely more to this universe than what meets our 3D eyes? If any of this sounds familiar, if any of these questions stir something deep within you, then you might just be the alien we're looking for. This isn't about being from another planet. It's about feeling like you're out of place in this one. It's about believing in the extraordinary, the spaces between. So tell us, do you feel that call, that pull towards something, somewhere that defies the ordinary? If so, welcome. Your mothership, Hot Alien Summer Camp, is calling you home. Are you ready to answer that call? To step into a space where your unique beliefs aren't just accepted but celebrated? Imagine a place where the extraordinary is the norm and the mysteries of the cosmos are the evening's main topic of discussion. A retreat where every workshop, every activity, and every shared meal is an opportunity to explore what lies beyond our conventional 3D experience. Did you find yourself nodding along just then? Feeling that spark of excitement at the thought of connecting with others who share your curiosity for the unknown? Then it's no coincidence you're hearing this right now. This is your invitation to join us, to become a part of a community that doesn't just ask the big questions, but revels in them. And what's a gathering of aliens without a little interstellar entertainment? Prepare to laugh with beings who understand your humor, as we bring you live comedy from cosmic minds of Ryan Singer and paranormal Karen Rontowski. Their insights and wit are as boundless as the universe, promising an experience that's as enlightening as it is hilarious. So, if you're ready to leave behind the world of round holes for a place where every square peg finds its place, a Hot Alien Summer Camp awaits. From August 8th through 11th in Lebanon, Tennessee, we're not just creating a retreat, we're forming a constellation of like-minded souls, each shining their unique light. Are you one of us? Are you ready to explore the depths of your alien soul among friends who understand that it's time to beat them up to Hot Alien Summer Camp? Your space in the cosmos is reserved. All you need to do is claim it. Visit hotaliensummercamp.com. Pre-sale tickets are on sale now. Let's embark on this cosmic journey together.